Greetings, everyone. It's me, Uncle Bill. By the way, I didn't know in that intro that Born to Be Rad was on. He's not going to be joining us. I think he's already done at least 3 podcasts or streams in the past 24 hours. So he's probably not going to be here for this one. He might show up. You never know. But I haven't heard from him. This particular night, though, we are going to be talking about the late but legendary horror film director Tobe Hooper, man. And Tobe Hooper he's an anomaly for me in the terms of like the big four. Like I always call him the big four. So it's like you got Romero, you got Hooper, you got Craven, and you got Carpenter. And of all those guys, Hooper was to me the most inconsistent. But like when the motherfucker, like when he hit it out of the park. Like I think of all those guys, he may have made like the best film. And so we're going to be talking about that in some detail. So I picked my top 5. I'm not saying these are his 5 best films. I'm not even saying that like they're the 5 films of his that I maybe watch the most. But I am saying that I think on some level like these are my favorites. So I picked 5. That there's a lot more than that, but you know we'll see where it goes. There's got to be some honorable mentions because like the dude, he did some wild ass films in the '80s that I really loved, but that couldn't just make this list. So this is going to be interesting though. I think that doing Craven was a little bit easier than doing this though because Hooper's his own entity. And I think it would have been good to have like Slippy or somebody like that on who had some real experience like talking with Hooper. But I just didn't have that. This was kind of a spur of the moment kind of thing. So we'll see how it goes. So Tobe Hooper is probably most well known for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and pretty much the vast majority of his shit in the 80s went completely unnoticed with the exception of Poltergeist. And I'll just say that my list will be pretty interesting when it comes to that. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and do the chat thing real quick. Aiden says that Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a perfect film and arguably my favorite film ever. It's very, very true. Saturn Video says he has a soft spot for Crocodile. Dude, I haven't seen that movie in... Shit, I couldn't tell you how long. Dan Williams, where's the love for Eaten Alive? Eaten Alive is a tough one for me because we rewatched that, couldn't have been more than a couple of months ago. And I want to get into that, but a little bit later on we'll get into it. Yeah. Eaten Alive is a wonderful drug trip and incredibly atmospheric and uncomfortable. That's to say the least. What's up, Radkins? Twisted Trucker, what's up? The Mayor. What are you up to, man? The Crimson Ghost. That is actually just like the mask that I got at fucking where was it? I want to say it was either Spirit of Halloween or one of those other Halloween stores, but it's put on like I have an original bust that I won a long time ago from Robert Kurtzman in like a contest that's from the movie The Rage. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie that he actually directed, but it's just that put over top of that. Alpha Romero, it's good to see you, man. Let's see, Scratch Burno. Ever see Hooper's Night Terrors with Robert Englund? No, I have not, actually. Phantasmat. This would have been another great name. Shooting Hoops. Yeah. Any love for spontaneous combustion? Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That movie I had on a 2-pack And I'm trying to remember what the hell the other movie was on it. It was one of the Anchor Bay ones, I think. Spontaneous combustion and like some other rando fucking movie. Somebody on here might know. And I remember the first time we watched that. This is me and CK were having like one of those Halloween horror-thons or something that we had back in the day, and like that 2-pack about fucking took us out. Yeah, it might have been Society. Rambo, I don't think that you'll get flack for that. I mean, there is a lot of people that shit on that movie, but this is a safe space. We're not here to judge. We are here to just talk films. Thank you, Manic Exorcism. This hat was brought to you by Grindhouse Releasing's Black Friday sale. I got this son of a bitch for $14, which I thought was a pretty good deal, and it's a super nice hat too. What were my thoughts on the Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday sale? Honestly, the one thing that I don't know how to feel about is the fucking translucent slipcover thing. I mean, I know that wasn't necessarily a part of the sale, but it kind of was, like, because it was first kind of brought up there. Like, I'm still trying to figure out if I think that's not the most ingenious idea ever, or if I think that's like the biggest fucking like rip off of all time, and kind of like a piss in the face of everybody that didn't want to buy air. I don't know, but I mean, as far as like the other films that were in the sale, I would give it a C, I guess. Maybe a B, maybe a B minus. I give it a B minus. I mean, it was. It didn't like completely blow me away, but man, I mean, they did have a couple good ones. And they showed a. Today was the first day, by the way, for anybody curious. They showed the translucent slipcover. It's up on. It was on Instagram, and that design is fucking ingenious. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't like the marketing gimmick behind it, but the design of it, they should have done that like a long time ago. It's basically three dots. It's a picture of the woman with three dots on the slipcover. So when you slide it over, it censors it, and then you take it off, and like she's completely new. It's fucking ingenious. Anyway, Ben Grimm asked, who directed Poltergeist? The only reason that I think it was Hooper was because we did an interview back in the day with Lou Perryman, who was on the set of that film. I don't remember what his job was. Lou Perryman's the guy that plays, is it LG? LG might be the TV. LT, it's either LT, LG, in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. But he and Hooper had known each other for like a really, really long time. And he did behind the scenes work a lot of the times on his movies. Well, he was on the set of Poltergeist for some reason or another. And you can go back and listen to that interview and get more detail. But he swears up and down that it was Hooper that actually directed that film. And I kind of believe him because, like, I mean, he didn't really have a reason to lie. And he was actually like one of the few people that was on the set that we talked to. So I think he did. As much as maybe the influence of Spielberg, just his style influenced it, but I think Hooper ultimately directed it. What's up, Steve Maris? See, I told y'all, man. Listen, I'll just tell you right now. I know that series, and we're talking about Wednesday on Netflix, I know that series is not made for my generation. I know that I'm not the target demographic of that series, okay? The target demographic of that series is tweens and like maybe like teenagers. That's a damn good series, man. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, say whatever you want to. That series is the design, the cinematography, the acting. Maybe not so much the plot, but it's at least like a serviceable kind of murder mystery. But the whole atmosphere of that series is spot on to what you would want, like out of an Addams Family show. So bravo to Tim Burton. I think it's the best thing he's done in decades at this point. So find out yourself, watch it and tell me what you think. Aiden says he loves the Tales from the Crypt episode Dead Weight. Classic Tobe Hooper right there and beautifully filmed. That's one that I do not remember, and I usually am pretty good at remembering like Tales from the Crypt episodes too. What was that one about? In the meantime, Ken says, did you pre-order Mark? There's a story behind this, and I'm going to tell you this fucking story since I'm probably not going to get a chance to tell this story like anywhere else. So I pre-ordered the Mark, which I've been waiting years on that release. I'm a huge Romero Mark. Always have been. He's probably my favorite out of the four directors that I mentioned. So I've seen all of his stuff, and this is probably like one of my favorite of his like underrated kind of like lost films. So when this was coming out, I was like super fucking psyched about it, and I'm like, I'm gonna get it like first day out. So I got on there 10 a.m. in the morning, and I was at work, got on anyway, and pre-ordered the son of a bitch from Second Sight, and then I'm going through there. And like I got to the shipping part, and it's like $20 basically in shipping. And I'm like, God damn. And I was bitching and moaning about it. But then I was like, all right, well, I want to support them because like, they're basically like a indie company, like a little known releasing company. So I bought it from there. And then it wasn't like 30 minutes later, maybe an hour later, that they put out a release that was like, oh, hey, like, we forgot to tell y'all that we're not shipping this shit to the U.S. And I'm like, who the fuck, like, gets on there and puts a pre-order up, advertises it all over the place, and never, not one time, mentions that they're not shipping it to the U.S., which has got to be the biggest market for that release. And they're just like, no, we're just shipping it in the U.K. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I sent him an email and everything. I was like, y'all are fucking ridiculous, like trying to pull some shit like this. Like, what if it had been sold out, like, and I'm thinking I've already got it ordered and it had been sold out on some of these other US sites? I would have fucking, like, anyway, that bullshit aside, like, I thought it was sold out, and it turns out that it wasn't on Diabolic, so that's where I got it. And it really wasn't that big of an issue. But thanks to Garrett, who's in here, by the way, for actually, like, telling me that it wasn't sold out. Because I totally thought I wasn't going to be getting that, and I was going to fucking like sue Second Sight Films or something. Woo woo woo, you know it. I have not pre-ordered Ma though. A lot of people giving their top lists here. Garrett's making fun of the fact that I like the Wednesday series. Watch the goddamn thing then, Garrett. You tell me it's not like awesome. Manic Exorcism says that Steve would love Night Terrors because the girls almost gets raped on the street. Yeah, that fits in with Steve. Oh yeah, this is truth. Hooper almost directed Venom. Couldn't deal with Klaus Kinski. Is it Klaus Kinski and Oliver Reed, I think. I've seen Venom. It's been a long ass time ago. I think that one was directed by. No, not directed by. It was put out by Blue Underground, I think, and we got it as like a screener. If that's the Crazy Snake movie that I'm thinking of. I'm the new Joe Bob Briggs. I don't know what that means. I don't know half the shit you say mean, Ash Williams, but I appreciate you being on here again. Have I seen the new Grinch trailer? No, I have not. I did watch the Violent Night full trailer, um, and that movie's getting like pretty decent reviews too, from what I understand. Um, so I'd probably end up watching that at some point too. Yeah, Mayor, I found that out too. Like that was the first time I think Orbit did a pre-order of anything. So I'd already gotten it from Diabolic at that point. So I was kind of just shitting the bed for no reason, which I have a tendency to do. Rubenstein, I know. I mean, is that the actual issue? Like, I don't know for certain. Did Rubenstein block them like shipping it in the into the U.S.? Is that what it is? Or like they had a deal where they could only do it in the UK or something? Or did somebody own the UK rights and they can't ship it to the US because of him? Uh, this is also very true. Lifeforce is indeed the most batshit insane vampire film ever made. Garrett says he didn't say he didn't like Wednesday, but I thought maybe it'd be a funny concept. It would be. Did you watch it? Because it's, I don't know. I'm kind of like hung up on it right now. Ben Grimm, if you want to see the Invisible Maniac alternate slip, I just saw it on Instagram. Like somebody posted it. I could not tell you who it was, but if you just do a basic search on there, I'm sure you probably find it on Instagram. It's exactly what you would think it is too. Uh, do, do you like Christmas? Um, yeah, I mean Christmas is fine, especially if you got a family. Like I mean, in terms of Christmas takes on a whole other meaning when you have kids, and I think everybody that has kids realizes that. But even if you don't have kids, it's nice to get some free shit. Crash 517 asks, "Did I see the trailer for Cocaine Bear? I indeed did, and that is a local legend slash possibility slash probably like urban legend. It's about a bear that accidentally ingests a bunch of cocaine that's dropped from like a cargo plane into the woods, and then goes on like a murderous kind of rampage because he's all jacked up on coke. There's no way I'm not seeing that film. Like you would have to pry me away, kicking and screaming, to not see that film. This is another one too. This is a good point, Aiden. As the Hooper's Eye segment from Body Bags, which is my favorite segment in that film or that anthology, and I don't know where to put that. Like when you're talking about Hooper's work, like it's not really a movie. I'm not entirely sure like where to categorize that or anything, but I would say that anybody that's never seen Body Bags, which is like a really good anthology from I guess it was the '90s, um, definitely check that out. Mark Hamill does a great job in that. I always loved that particular episode. So the mayor says that Martin is up for sale at Diabolic, Grindhouse, and Zavvi doesn't charge until it ships. Okay. Uncle Christmas. The original Toolbox Murders versus Tobe Hooper's Toolbox Murders. Tobe Hooper's Toolbox Murders is probably one of the biggest disappointments that I've ever gone into. Number one, the only person that puts Sherry Moon Zombie in a film is Rob Zombie. Everybody knows that. And if you deviate from that rule, then you just end up paying for it. And I think that's... She's only in it for a brief period of time, but that's too much. What's up, Adrian James? A lot of people talking about Freddy's Nightmares episode, which he did, which is easily the best episode of that show, which is not saying a lot because that show's not very good, but... all right, so I think we've reached the end of the comments, maybe. So let's do the top 5, and I don't know if anybody wants to throw out any other questions, like real quick about anything just unrelated. I'll answer whatever you want. A Little Dumpling Books writes, a bread, which I think means a bear, did actually eat all that coke and was seen being really strange, but obviously didn't go on a rampage. He just dropped dead from a heart attack. Which, yeah, I mean, would be more like apt to just like your heart explode than you would be to go on like a murderous rampage. And what's great about it too is that in the trailer, the bear's doing all this like superhuman shit. Like it jumps from like a standing position, like running position, into like the back of this truck, like a 40-foot jump, and then it's doing all this stuff like climbing these trees really fast, like running around. I don't know. It just looks like something that I would really, really enjoy. I'm not necessarily sure. Did I say I prefer TV? I know there's been a lot of great TV series over the past year. Um, Most of it has actually been on Netflix, which is bizarre because like I normally don't like Netflix. But just to go through a couple, I don't know when Midnight Mass came out. It might have been 2021. If it was 2022, then I would include that. The Dahmer series, which I think was probably the best true crime series that may have been the best one ever made. And I've seen a lot of them. The Wednesday series, Fear Street, I'm not sure about either. I know a lot of people are kind of uneven on that one as well. Um, that's the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Laters. Where in the hell you going? Laters. Good lord. I don't know what the deal is. People just laters in it. Hooper is definitely in the top three directors. Okay. So while we're at it, before I start ranking these movies, I'll rank those four directors. That's how we'll start the show. So you got the big four, which is, like in music, the big four is Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer, right? So if I were to rank the big four, starting at number four, you've got these four guys: Craven, Carpenter, Romero, and Hooper. So at this stage of my life, like seeing these movies as much, I'm going to put Craven at number four. I'm going to put Hooper at three. I'm going to put Carpenter at two, and I'm going to put Romero at one. And I can't help it. That's just that. I think Carpenter probably has more good work than Romero, but I think that Romero's good shit is like insanely good in my opinion. So there we go. Yeah, he did, wasn't it? Midnight. I forgot about that one. The Suicide Club, Midnight Suicide Club, or something like that. Which I tried to watch, man. Like I got halfway through. It was interesting enough. It's just one of those series where like I just dropped off like right in the middle of it. I don't know. I just wasn't one that I binge watched, and I'm not sure why. Yellow Jackets I've heard about, but I haven't seen that either. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Flanagan's moving to Amazon Prime. That's why they canceled Midnight Club. Tyler Thorne. I kind of agree with this too, man. Like, honestly, like I did a whole show of freaking movies, weekends with freaking, and um, I kind of would pick his style of directing over pretty much anybody. It's a hard choice between Carpenter and Craven, but Craven has way more shitty movies. That's true. What do I think about King's directing skills? Are you talking about Stephen King? Not good. Not great. It is not great. I mean, listen, I love Maximum Overdrive as much as the next person, but that's not a well-made film. And I was just reading his book again too, by the way, on writing, and there's a whole section in it where he kind of talks about having substance abuse issues through like the late 70s and into the mid 80s, I think. He was a really, really bad alcoholic and really, really bad on cocaine for a long period of time there. And I'm fairly certain he was probably on that yak around the time of Maximum Overdrive. I'm not sure when exactly he got sober, but if he did get sober, I think he might have relapsed around that time. I thought about doing a whole show on this, actually, Manic Exorcism. So the question is, what are your top favorite villains? And I really did consider like doing like a full on kind of stream about this. So I'm not going to say that right now because that let's just say that for later. That's actually a pretty interesting topic, really. Crash. No, I think all these guys have their like expiration date, and I don't think that he would have made another good film. Like I had a lot of hope for Romero there for a long time, but he made three really horrible films like right in a row. So I don't. I just think that they reach a point where they're done. Carpenter was the same way. Um, I think Craven was probably the most relevant of all of them. Like there towards the end, but even he made like fucking My Soul to Take and stuff like that. So, did you like Black Phone? I loved Black Phone. Um, how do I put this? Like, I thought Ethan Hawke gave a great performance. I thought the design of that mask was amazing. I'd love to have that. I'm sure Garrett probably already has that, and if he doesn't, he's got it pre-ordered. Um, but something about the ending of it was a little bit too like Hollywood, you know, just which is I guess that's fine every now and then. I mean, you don't want a bummer of an ending where a kid gets killed, but it just seemed like the end turned into fucking Home Alone or something. You know, it's like I don't know. It's just all the rest of it though I thought was great. Have I seen the new trailer for Transformers? No, no, I have not. I think I watched Rambo do a review of that or something, so I probably know now that I don't want to watch it. Look, this is a good question too. Have I seen Argento's Dark Glasses? I tried to watch this film. It's on Shutter. I can't, man. Like I really genuinely tried, but there's a point when I'm watching a movie where I kind of know I'm not gonna like this movie. Have you ever done that? Like, if you've ever like watched so many films where you can tell by the cinematography or the acting or the just the whole kind of thing of the whole feel of the movie, you're just like, I'm just gonna fucking, I'm gonna head out and just, and I did. Yeah. How you doing, Chris? All right, let's get started. Number five. So the countdown begins of the the top five, in my opinion, which is really the only opinion that matters, of course, of the best Tobe Hooper films of all time. My number five is this seminal masterpiece, Lifeforce, aka Space Vampires. This is the Scream Factory edition, which I bought before Scream Factory turned into like giant douchebags. And I think, is this out on 4K? This might have been one of the ones they released on 4K. So I'm not sure. I don't think I would rebuy this movie on 4K. I mean, it's a great movie and everything, but dude, like, I don't know. I just don't see me watching. So, oh God, how do you explain Life Force? It's the story of a group of astronauts who go up into space and their ship is attacked by something, and I think it's 30 days later they find the ship, except everybody on the ship that was on the ship is like, what would you call it, like just drained of all like their fluids and stuff. They're just kind of floating around there. But then there's like these other entities that are perfectly fine and they're sealed up in these capsules and everything. They take it back to Earth, and of course, like dumbasses open it up, and let me just say that I've never seen a mainstream film with as much gratuitous nudity as this one has. It is Matilda May, who is the lead space vampire, is completely nude throughout this entire film. And I cannot help but think that that was not just Tobe Hooper's just being like, can we get this girl to be completely nude for this entire film? Like, I don't know that it had anything to do with like a plot line or a story or anything. Yeah, Jackson Jacket's way more like, it's just all the way through the fucking movie. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, like, it's gratuitous to the point where you're almost like, this had to be a rib or something. Like, it had to be like a joke. But so the space vampires come down. I think they're in London. They end up in London, something like that. And Steve Railsback, who played Manson, and he was also great in the X-Files too, is like the lead astronaut who survives, and like he's got to go off with this other like FBI agent or some kind of agent, SSA agent or something like that, and try to track down these space vampires. So Matilda May is the lead, and she's walking around, and what they do is that they confront somebody, and then they like suck their life force out, almost like just like a kiss, and they just suck out their life force, and then it kind of like is like a vampire, it just drains all of it out of their body. And yeah, that's really the whole movie. Patrick Stewart's in it. Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's really weird to see him in anything else. Like, it just always kind of freaks me out. It is insane and probably fueled by some sort of drugs. It was the first, I think, canon film that he made. He would go on to make 3 canon films. Invaders from Mars and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 were the other ones. And it was like his big, studio deal pictures after Poltergeist and all that. Which is crazy, because this would not be the movie that I would probably put out as my, introduction into the mainstream studio system. But he did. And it's about naked vampires that suck people's life forces out. And that eventually destroy London, which is a great scene, by the way. There's a scene, spoiler alert, where they destroy the entire city of London. All this stuff was done with practical effects too, which is amazing to this day. And Tobe Hooper apparently approved the transfer of this version. So there you go. Yeah, so that's number 5 is Lifeforce. Anything else interesting about Lifeforce? I mean, there's a lot of interesting shit. First of all, couple of different interesting points, real quick. Everybody on this film was insanely talented. He got the cinematographer that did Return of the Jedi. He got Henry Mancini to do the score. Steve Railsback, who was like one of the best actors of like at that time. I mean, they spent a lot of money and put a lot of great people into this, which is what probably is the most endearing thing about it. Is that it's like one of those B movie ideas that has like an amazing group of people behind it and a decent budget, and so it's, you know, it doesn't come across like a Corman movie or anything like that, but the idea is very Corman-esque, but the fucking like payoff is insanely well made. Now some of the special effects are a little bit dated, but you know they're going to be. All right, let's see. I'm dying over here. You never remember that this one was directed by Hooper? Yeah, this one kind of always goes like under the radar too. I guess Showgirls probably would count. You got a point there. Lifeforce probably killed Tobe Hooper's career. I would say, yeah, it probably didn't help anything, especially considering what he was wanting to do at that point. The mayor says, back in July, he went to a used bookstore and they had the paperback of Space Vampires, but they wanted way too much. That's a damn shame, because I bet that would be amazing. Yeah, Chris, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm pretty sure that Hooper directed Poltergeist. Not 100%, but pretty sure. Jax is actually at the end when she comes out of the blood of Patrick Stewart or whatever the fuck happens in like the helicopter. That is a really cool effect. Yeah, there's some good stuff in it. It's just the effects when the space vampires like they drain the victim's blood, like the little. It always reminded me of the like a really shitty looking version of the woman's torso in Return of the Living Dead. Like all those little like dried up bodies where their eyes are moving and basically just their eyes and their hands can move. Who smoked more weed, Hooper or Carpenter? I'm pretty sure John Carpenter smokes more weed than anybody. I'd say Hooper probably did more coke. I'll be honest with you, Rob Stillick, I've only ever seen this version of the film. So I don't know. I didn't know there was another version of the film. So, Chainsaw 2 cemented his career. I don't know. That's one of those movies I'm not sure how well it was received in '86. That movie was actually being talked about a lot when I was in high school. We're talking about 90, 94, 95. That dates me pretty good. So like we're saying, you know, seven, not 7 years, 8 years or so after it was actually made, was when like I know a lot of teenagers that were talking about it. And I guess that was because of like it being on VHS and it kind of getting a reputation for especially the Bill Moseley stuff. I don't know how it was received when it came out though. So Alfa Romero says that it was received as a huge disappointment when it first came out. I can believe that because it's not at all what you would expect. Brian Trash is pissed because he lost an edible. That's always a fucking bummer. Steve can help you out. Yeah, this makes sense, Remo. That they wanted it to be scarier and kind of less humor, probably too. Yeah, I mean, Life Force looks like it was probably fueled by a lot of cocaine. Yeah, he's dead, Jackson Jack. Cannon was pissed. I could totally see this. With Hooper's approach to TCM2, he wanted it to be a straight slasher, but he had no. See, I think that's genius, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was probably the best thing he could have done because you got no chance, like Vince McMahon, you got no chance in hell of remaking or making a sequel to that movie and it being anywhere near as good. You're just setting yourself up to be fucking ripped apart, right? Like look at all the other Chainsaw movies. They're all awful. Like they're varying degrees of awful, I'll give you that, but they're all fucking horrible. So what can you do with it? You make a parody out of it. Like that's the only fucking thing you can do. And I think that was the best decision. It's not a great decision, but it's like, what else are you going to do? Make Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3? That movie's boring as shit. I mean, it just is. It's a really sad kind of like attempt to make another Texas Chainsaw, almost exactly like the first one. Exactly. They're all trying to imitate that film, which can't be done. Yeah. Getting into all this shit. Do your thing, cuz, and all this other stuff. All right, so number 4. Some people probably think this should be higher up on the list, but I rewatched it not too long ago, and it doesn't hold up as much as I thought it would. Not the biggest of fans of this. But number 4 is the Funhouse. Shit, that goddamn glare's killing me. Also Scream Factory release, which I'm sure they probably have fucking 4K. I think they do have a 4K of this too. Man, oh man. What a weird film to come along at this stage in his career too. I think that this was the film that he did right after Salem's Lot. I think this was the next thing that he did. And this is completely different than Salem's Lot. And I'll say that it's got like a great amount of charm. But it's not like, it looks like a film that a lot of other directors around that time period could have made. Like, I can't sense a lot of, like, Tobe Hooper. There's maybe 1 or 2 scenes in this where I can sense that Tobe Hooper made it. And the rest of it is a very generic kind of, like, slasher film. But it's my number 4. So, I enjoyed the shit out of it. So, that's saying that. But, you know, it's not... it's not going to blow anybody's skirt up or anything like that. But it does have some creepy, atmospheric stuff in it. The mask, I'm still on the fence about that mask. In a way, I love it. The Gunther mask, I mean, in a way, I love that mask. And in a way, it's the cheapest goddamn thing you've ever seen. Like, today, I don't know if it was back then. I kind of feel like it probably was back then, too. But anyway, the Funhouse, if you can't guess, is a story about 4 teenagers who go to a carnival and they're, going from booth to booth and they meet all these really eccentric characters. You got the Carnival Barker, which is played by Kevin Conway, who is probably the best actor in the film and has the most memorable role. You've got, well, aside from maybe this next one, the Gypsy Fortune Teller, who, we'll get into that later, but she's really in a memorable role. And then you've got Gunther, who is kind of like the illegitimate love child or something of the Carnival Barker, or he's taking care of him or something. And He's dressed in the beginning. Oh shit! I'm not my head off. He's dressed in the beginning in like a Frankenstein mask and Frankenstein outfit, and he's going around just kind of helping out with the rides and stuff like that. You don't really think anything else about it, and then it kind of starts. Hooper starts kind of following him around, and eventually, like he goes. This is the to me. This scene will always like it's like one of those scenes that's burned into your fucking mind, into some sort of like dark subconscious recess of your mind. So he's like this primal beast animal, very similar to Gorked Out Andrew in both design and the way that he acts from Hell Knight. So he's going around and like he goes to the fortune teller and she like apparently they got something weird going on where she'll like jerk him off for money. So she jerks him off for money and then like he gets off really quick. So he wants his money back and she won't give it to him and he strangles her to death. That scene, I'm just like, wow, that was like, he was like, I'm okay. This is where he was at in his career. He's like, I just made Salem's Lot, which is like one of the biggest TV miniseries of all time. Stephen King work. He's like the hottest thing going at that time. Just did Carrie. What do I do next? I'm going to have a gypsy jerk off a man beast. And it makes sense. Jizz on a Gypsy would be an amazing Saxon song as well. But, I mean, that's everything you really need to know about Funhouse right there is that it's an exploitation film is what it is. It's not as much a horror film or a slasher. There's not a lot of slashing that goes on in this movie. There's not a lot of really memorable death scenes in this movie either. The death scenes are kind of like there's a hanging in one scene and like a strangling and but none of it's like that great or anything. The most memorable thing is probably the design of that mask. When the Frankenstein mask gets knocked off of him, and you see that he's like this weird, like he's almost got an ass for a head, and he looks like a bat with like an ass for a head. When you see that, and then like all the stuff with the weird sexual kind of fantasy shit that's going on in this movie, so let's get to some of these comments. This is bound to be great. I haven't even looked at the comments, and I mean, all right. Let's see. We got. Yeah, this is true. I forget her name. It's something generic like it's like Anne or something like that. But she's awful. You're right. Do you wish the Funhouse had more? I just wish it was more creative, kind of in the way that they killed off the cast. You know, the biggest thing the Funhouse has going for it to me is Kevin Conway, the atmosphere of the film, and kind of the design of the creature. Even though it's so kind of fake looking, it's also terrifying at the same time. And they've always got like Vaseline and shit on it, and like stuff's like falling off of it, like drool and snot and all that stuff. It's great. Yeah, Jackson Jack says he wishes it has a bigger cast. There's basically 4 people in this film. If you exclude the carnival people, there's 4 like friends or whatever, and then probably like 3 other people that are in the movie. It's just not a very big cast. It's not Rick Baker's best, but it's still good. Yep. First time seeing that, Born to Be Red says that he marked out when the Frankenstein mask came off. Yeah, I mean, I will say this for sure. Like, the reveal is very good. Like, so the monster's getting all worked up, and like he's still got the Frankenstein shit on, and he's like, I don't remember why he's having like a freak out session about something. And he just keeps getting angrier and angrier. And then he knocks the mask off. And he's just screaming. And then it's just full on kind of vampire bat thing. best mask or makeup in a horror movie. Well, I think we all know that it's Adam Green's Hatchet, aka Madman. No, the best makeup. What is the best mask in a horror film? Jesus, dude, that's a good question. I'll tell you the one I love is the design of the Frankenstein monster in the Monster Squad. But I'm not going to argue up and down that that's like the best or anything. But that's one of my favorites. What else? Jesus. You could throw out there Day of the Dead too, in my opinion. That's still one of the best. Like Bub, that's one of the best designs for a zombie or anything like that. Probably some of the best makeup. Anyway, the atmosphere. Yeah, this is the thing. The atmosphere, especially in the first half of the Funhouse, is so damn creepy. There's something unnerving and off about the carnival and the random weirdos. Yeah, that's really like every carnival I've been to be honest. Like down here, I don't know about like wherever you're at, Carter, but when they have carnivals down here, those fucking things they're not pleasant people to be around. Like they are people that you can tell could not function in like a normal 9 to 5 job. Probably a lot of drugs. Probably some felonies in their background that they can't like do background checks for. Carnivals are just not. I don't know. It's an inherently creepy place. I'll say that. Saturn says that reveal scared the shit out of him as a kid. The neon lighting in this is so I agree with that too. The lighting and the cinematography and the visual effects in this movie are great. I will not definitely not argue that. Do you ever feel sorry for the monster? Frankenstein makes pretext for what happens to the creature at the end. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I don't know if I had necessarily felt sorry for him throughout this movie, but you could tell that they actually made the people around him kind of more sadistic than him. Although the scene in the ventilation system or whatever was pretty damn brutal. So I don't know. He's not a real sympathetic character now that I think about it. You got to be kidding me. It's implied that the monster is a love child of his father and the two-faced cow that we saw earlier in the film. I hope that's not true. Jesse? Damien? No, Jesse. Yes, I'm a big fan of that movie. Invaders from Mars. It's not a good movie. I love it because I saw it when I was a kid and watched it like a million times on cable. It's not a good movie. But it is a movie that I like because I have nostalgia for it. And it's just one of those movies where you go back and you're like, why did I like this at this point in time? I guess it's because the main protagonist in the film is a kid, and that's probably like why I related to it. Probably around my age at the time too. Again, it's not great. There's some shit about pennies, and you have to have a bunch of pennies to fire a ray gun at the invaders. Like I said. Anyway. Yes, it is very odd. Like the little kid that sneaks up and it's very just I don't know, very weird, creepy. Kind of makes you feel dirty watching it. The whole thing is just filled with like weird sexual kind of stuff and creeped out kind of loner people and just It has a very particular feel to it. That's true. That's one I didn't think about, Jake. Curtains, the slasher mask in that is great. Tanner, no, I have not. But I am going to talk about Tarantino's opinion on something here shortly, too. I've not read that book. I would like to read that book. I saw him on a couple of different streams not too long ago promoting that. Why can't they just jerk him off, man? This is a good point. I feel like if that dude would, this whole movie would have been completely different had that dude just gotten a couple of like hand jobs along the way. This is what I thought of too. Yeah, Gary's talking about the sister scene in the shower scene in Elves. Man, the shower scene in Elves is probably one of the creepiest goddamn things. Just bizarre too. It's a little bit more bizarre than even the Funhouse, I think. Jack Frost says this is his favorite film. Yeah, it's to me maybe like a better version of Eaten Alive because Eaten Alive was his attempt at another exploitation film after Texas Chainsaw. It's almost like a remake of Texas Chainsaw. But I think that the Funhouse gets some things right about the look and the feel of that and just the execution that's a little bit better than Eaten Alive, in my opinion. And I have seen these movies all recently too, so I mean I'm not basing it on something I haven't seen as well. Okay, so number three. This is weird to put this at number three because it's going to get confusing. But my number three is A Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I am burnt the fuck out on this movie. Like all like, kidding aside and everything. There's too many goddamn versions of this movie out. Um, I know there's a lot of people that absolutely mark the hell out for this movie, but it's a little bit overplayed nowadays. Still, that being said, it's a great film. It's just I've seen it 9 million times. Like probably I've seen this movie as much as any other like horror film that is in my top list of films, and I don't know why. It was just one of those films that was always around. It was always on cable. It was just in a rotation constantly for some reason or another. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is was I guess like one of my big introductions into horror films. Um, so it's I guess it's one of the ones that really like got me into the idea that horror films could be something besides just straight up like slasher movies or ghost movies or something like that. Like you combine the genres like comedy and horror, and it could actually work. That movie and Bad Taste were the two movies. I watched those movies way too early in my life. My father, God rest his soul, was not a good. Well, depending on how you look at it, he was either not a very good like parental watchman, or he was like a great dad. I don't know. However you want to look at it, like I saw those films way too early in my life. So, but that kind of like was the cornerstone for me really liking horror comedies and liking trauma and stuff like that. Because like I think it's my favorite kind of genre of horror, like subgenre, I guess, is the horror comedy. But this one, like, it hits all the right buttons because you've got a couple things going on here that are great. You've got Dennis Hopper is playing a straight character. He's not playing anything funny in this movie. if you go back and watch it, like he's dead serious throughout the entire film, which is great because it allows like all the cook and friggin' Bill Moseley and all of them to go kind of crazy like around him playing like the straight man, and I think that's why the movie works. And I think Dennis Hopper doesn't want to be in this movie. That's always the opinion that I got watching this movie, but he just seems disinterested somehow or another. And but he does a good job. I mean, he's serviceable enough in it, as they say. But like, it's just he just doesn't seem like he wants to be there. Anyway, that being said, like this has two of my favorite scenes in a horror film in it, and that would be the opening with the yuppies on the bridge, which I think is probably one of my most, like, especially as a kid, like, what the fuck kind of shots. The scene where the dude, like, they're driving along, and this is a great, the way this scene was filmed is great. They're driving along, and then Leatherface is up on the truck or whatever, and he saws downward into the car where these yuppies are at. And it shows like a front shot of the guy kind of like just like panicking, and then it shows like a back shot of his head kind of like sliding off, like downward, like sideways, like that. And that's like one, and that's just a great overall shot in that film. And the second scene in the film is the DJ scene, the record booth scene, where you meet Chop Top, and he kind of comes out. That has got the most per capita one-liners that I still use to this day, probably of any horror film. Where it's got incoming mail and dog will hunt and fucking get that bitch Leatherface, and like it's just an endless supply of like quotes that I love. Anyway, let's get to some of these comments. I haven't got to talk about Carolyn Williams yet, but that's coming too. So Aiden says Texas Chainsaw 2 is a great film and maybe his favorite horror sequel. How do I join this chat? Hell, Joe, I don't know, from Facebook. Get on YouTube? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not good with technology and whatnot. I'm old. Alpha Romero says, I like Texas Chainsaw 2 a lot, but over the years I found myself liking it less and less and appreciating the original. Yeah, me too. I don't know what it is either. I don't know if it's just burnout or if the movie just doesn't hold up. I'm not sure. Bad Taste is a classic, you're right. Spoiler alert, my number 2 film is going to be Tobe Hooper's Mortuary. I wish it was. I was 11 years old when you first watched it. Yeah, I was probably... Well, when did it come out on VHS? 87, 88? I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Good pick on Texas Chainsaw 2. I hate to admit that's my favorite in the series. It introduced me to the series and definitely stuck with it. It did me too. Like, I saw this movie before I saw the first film. Because this was just, like I said, everywhere for some reason back then. Maybe it was the Canon deal. They had some sort of deal with HBO or something. I don't know. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 might be the best. Let me get this up here. The best, most annoying film ever. It just, like, there's just shit in it that is genius, and then stuff in it that is just utterly stupid, all in the same movie. Like, the utterly stupid stuff that's great still is when Lefty goes to buy the chainsaw, and the guy is like watching him carve into the pieces of wood, and he's like like, what the fuck is that? But then there's stuff like, there's a line in the film that I've always loved where, like, fucking Dennis Hopper coming in to avenge the death of his brother. He comes into the dining hall where they're all sitting, and the cook Jim Sato, who's by far and away the best cast member in this film, is like, he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" or something like that, and he goes, "I'm the Lord of the Harvest." And Jim Sato goes, "What is that? Some new health food chain?" It's just got some great back and forth dialogue in this movie. Crocodile is going to be number 2. Oh yeah. I don't think anybody was sure what to make of this film. This is I forgot about this. This is the most quotable one. Lick my plate, you dog dick. Okay, so out of all the franchises, have you ever noticed how like all the TCM movies up until like 2017, with the exception of the first movie, have had huge A-list stars that star in them? No, I hadn't noticed that really. So who's the huge A-list star in part 3? Oh fuck, was that the one Viggo Mortensen was in? Oh god damn, I forget he's in that film. Oh Christ, he is, and he's got that stupid fucking leg thing. Okay, you got me. It's a good point. I was right. Goddamn. There we go. Shit. He got on here just so he could tell me that Texas Chainsaw 2 is dumb. God damn it, Joe. Oh, that was almost like a bit that we worked out. That was so great. The opening scene with the never ending bridge is legendary, yeah. Do you like Poltergeist 3? I don't know what the fuck it's got to do with Tobe Hooper, other than him doing the first Poltergeist. But no, not really. It's very generic. It takes place in that building. I don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it. It doesn't it's the little girl in it changes all the time, and then the old dude is not the same dude. It's just, I don't know. I never did like it. Yeah, Jake. Unfortunately, yeah, she is now anyway. No, Joe. This segment is not PG. Look what you did to my Sonny Bono wig, you bitch. Get her. Get that bitch. I like that when he says that line too, like right after it, he goes, at least it didn't mess me up. Let's see. TCM2 should have included the family taking out more citizens in a run up to Lefty coming on the scene. Yeah, I mean, there's a long stretch of that movie where not a whole hell of a lot happens. Except, like, you got some exposition with, like, Lefty and Stretch, which Carolyn Williams, I thought she did a great job in that film, actually. And she's not a typical, like, looking final girl or anything like that. But she's very like suited for that part for some reason. And I thought Lou Perryman did a great job too. Bless his heart. Um, those two are completely believable in the roles that they're in. Um, wasn't a huge overall fan of some of Savini's stuff in that movie though. Some of it just I don't know. It's not like to me like his best stuff, especially Nubbins. Although a lot of people like Nubbins, I don't know. Joe says you can walk on that bridge. I'm assuming the never ending bridge. Yeah. Yeah, well, we kind of talked about that. Like I was saying, like in the end, at the end of the day, even though I did a show on Craven too, I think out of the four, he's probably like my least favorite now. Um, and I'm not sure why. Just his stuff was just too slick. I think. All right, number two. I'm gonna choke to death before this is over with. Choking to death on the death dong here. Number two, which I don't have any copy of, other than a DVD copy that's in storage, and I'm not going out and fucking getting it, is Salem's Lot, in my opinion. Um, so, a couple of things. Salem's Lot, any Stephen King adaptation is hard to do. Just because his work is just a lot of times really difficult to translate to film. Um, for a prime example, that would be like the scene in It, that's like the orgy scene. Like he's got shit in his film or in his books that just don't translate well over to film. And in particular, though, um, Salem's Lot is a film adaptation that not many people could have done at that time, especially not the way that Hooper did it. There are at least 5 scenes in that movie that scare the shit out of me to this day, and that is like a hallmark of a great film. He created an atmosphere that made vampires scary again. We're talking about this movie was made in '79, I think, and at that point, I don't think vampires were considered to be very scary. It's like, yeah, the Hammer series of films, maybe a couple other things, but like this was pre, fucking Fright Night and pre Lost Boys and pre, some of the bigger name vampire films. Like they were kind of like not in vogue at that time. But to me, this particular film is like the scariest of any of the modern day kind of vampire films because number one, they use a Nosferatu style vampire, which is the scariest of all the vampires. Um, but also, you take a scene that's so simple though, but so effective, like the rocking chair scene, man. Like everybody, everybody still talks about like the glass scene where the kid comes up, and scratches on the window to try to get in and all that. And that is a creepy fucking scene, especially because of the fog in that scene. Like, I can't figure out how exactly he did that. I'm sure that in some making of or something, they probably tell you. But that fog just looks insanely like different than, just something about it, the way that it comes up and the way that it forms and everything. And then, you see like the kid and just the idea of him trying to get in like that. But the creepier scene to me is the scene with goddamn Jeffrey. I can't ever remember this guy's name. He was in Devil's Rejects. Y'all figure it out. When he turns and he's in the rocking chair, and you just see like, the chairs are rocking back and forth, but then you see like the glowing, like 2 eyes is basically all you can see, and then maybe like a little bit of the visage of his face. Um, it's just something about that. Like that's the stuff that nightmares are made of. You walk in on something like that. Um, there's so many good scenes in this movie though. The end scene where they finally like tries to do battle with the whatever the lead vampire's fucking name is now, and um, just so much good stuff in that movie. And I think the fact too that little kids were getting turned in it into vampires was kind of like more disturbing than other things around that time too. You know he does, Joe. You know he wants to. But this would kind of like I kind of struggle with this one because it's not necessarily it was a mini series or a 2-part movie or something when it came out. Yeah, Romero was attached to every fucking thing. Is the thing. He just didn't get a lot of breaks. I need to give Salem's Lot another chance. I remember not liking it because it seemed too made for TV. It doesn't feel that way to me. Like it never really feels made for TV to me. Like it feels like a movie. Um, a lot of the performances in that movie are really good too. I won't say they're amazing, but they're really really good. Scratch. Yeah, the version that I'd seen was whatever the DVD was. Um, I don't really keep up with like which version is the full version or the cut down version. Like it seems to me like the version I had was over 2 hours. Romero directed Survival of the Dead. I haven't ever forgotten. Sadly, yeah, that's the one that I've got. Is the Snapper case? Is it on Blu-ray? I think so. Um, I think it is on Blu-ray, but I don't own the fucking Blu-ray. Garrett would be the one to ask about this question because you know that some bitch has got it. He's probably got 3 different versions of it. He's probably got like a steel book, the regular version, and like a fucking version that has a coffin or something. Okay, so the snapper case version is 3 hours. Yeah, that makes sense. So who? Okay, who put out the Salem's Lot Blu-ray? Was it Warner Brothers? Because I would actually like to have that. I don't know why I don't have it. It must be one that just went under my radar, I guess, or if it's not like out of print. Yeah, okay. Warner Brothers put it out. Jeffrey Lewis is the guy that I'm talking about, by the way. Um, Juliette Lewis's dad. Yeah, that always freaked me out to know that little piece of trivia. But yeah, Jeffrey Lewis is in this one, and he probably is the most memorable character in the film too. Listen, do not, and I repeat, do not fucking watch Return to Salem's Lot. Like that is some of the most boring shit you will ever try to watch in your life. Just don't even. That's what I'm telling you right now, Suspiria Night. Listen, I tried. I gave it like my best in order to like be a completist, and I think I bought that damn thing on. At least this is what I did. I know what it was. Okay, this was like a year ago or something. It was when right around the time that maybe a year and a half ago or so, when the pandemic was like really kicking in, and everybody thought we were all going to die, and yada yada yada, and I'd watched The Stand. And so I got into like Stephen King miniseries, and I was like, I want to get some, but I don't want to pay anything for it. So there was like a DVD that had like the Rob Lowe. God damn it! It's not The Shining. It had The Shining on it too, though. The Shining miniseries. It had the Rob Lowe version of whatever that fucking thing. Return to Salem's Lot or Salem's Lot remake or something like that. And then one of them had Return to Salem's Lot on it. And I really, really tried to like that movie, but I can't. I know Larry Cohen had something to do with it, but it feels so like much cheaper. It would have, yeah. I always thought that too. It would be interesting to see like Hooper or some of these other guys, like if they had a chance. I think Craven tried a couple times, but his shit, I don't know. Like I'm not into music from the heart or whatever. Well, buddy, I mean, you can send it to me if you want to, Matt. If you ain't gonna watch it, I'll definitely watch it. Come on, send it. Uh, a Tobe Hooper Western. Yeah, anything. If you think about like, okay, if Carpenter had actually got to do a Western, because he was the guy that was huge on like Rio Bravo and stuff like that. If Carpenter would have gotten to do something like that, he said he did it with, Assault on Precinct 13 and vampires and things like that, but he never really did like a Western, which I think he really wanted to do. Yeah, but that shit ain't no Western. All right, number one. Because I'm going to die if I try to like talk much more. Number one, I mean, can you fucking guess? It's probably not that much of a stretch. Number one is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the old Dark Sky release, y'alls. So, reason I brought Quentin Tarantino up, and I'm not saying that I agree with Quentin Tarantino. I do agree with him on some of the stuff that he likes, but I don't necessarily agree with Tarantino on all the stuff that he likes, or his opinions on films anyway. Tarantino said that he fucking hates Phantasm, so I don't know how like much I can take him seriously after that. But one thing that he did say that I agree with is he said there are like maybe a short list of 6 or 7 perfect films, and that one of the perfect films, and when he defines perfect as being like anybody who likes films, no matter what genre, has to admit that these films are damn near perfect, if not perfect. And he said Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of those films. And I agree with that. He also said Jaws was one of those films, and I agree with that. And then he said Annie Hall, and I don't know, some other shit, but I don't necessarily know anything about that shit. So, but I will say that Tarantino is 100% right, that this is almost, if not, a damn perfect film. So, hold on one second. Real quick here. Disney fanboy. Because I went to Disney. That is sharp. I'm just going to block your ass. and you can fuck right off. All right. So, um, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was as close to perfect as I think any horror film has gone. As a matter of fact, like it might be the perfect horror film. So, you know, the idea that they've made fucking 10 of these things now, or how many ever they've made, it's just never going to work because it's just a movie that can never be like replicated. It it's so much about it. You got the time period it was made, the look of the film, which 400 different directors have tried to copy, mostly Rob Zombie. Um, the fucking the cast who are so like they're all unknown, but they're all 100% committed to their roles. So much so to the point that like you completely forget that they're acting in the movie and you just see it as like an actual thing that's going on, like a snuff film or something. And I don't think enough can be said about the set design and the just the design of the movie in general. Like everything about it is perfect, from the van to the inside of the house to the outside of the house to the areas like that they're walking around. Like it all is just. And I think the one of the best things he did in this movie that not a lot of people give him credit for is the build up of the tension before anything happens in this movie. Like you know something fucked up is going to happen just based on the name of the film, right? But it goes on for like 30, maybe 45 minutes before anything significant like happens. So it's just them. Films don't do this anymore, and they really should. I don't know why. Like horror films, especially. Like it, you know, you just go to like the store with them, the gas station. You kind of drive around with them a little bit, and like go to the family house, and then they pick up the hitchhiker. Um, and you're just kind of in there as they do all these kind of like normal, mundane things, so you can kind of see how they are and how they're like how they talk to each other and what their vibes are. All of that happens before you even like anything else scary happens in the film. And I'm like, there's just something about the way that he does that. That by the time the really like the shit hits the fan, you're like already like so on edge because like you know these people and like you kind of feel for them, but you know something's going to happen. And the first shot of that movie, when something happens, where you know Leatherface appears and he's got the hammer already up and he fucking whacks him. It's just all that's iconic, and he shuts the big steel door. Like all of that stuff is like iconic now. It'll never be replicated because it just seemed like a real nightmare that was actually going on in front of you. And yeah, Franklin is kind of low key, like, because nothing in this film is played stereotypically either, if you notice too. Like, nobody in this film is your, like, like, nowadays you've got to have, like, the Asian nerd or the fucking, jock best friend or fucking, in this, you've got, like, a handicapped guy who's the most annoying, person in the film. He's the most childish. Like, he doesn't have anything of value to add to the movie. I mean, they would never do that in a film nowadays, man. They would never even try to do that. Like, he would be the hero of the film nowadays. But I don't know. I could go on about this movie. I mean, that's not even talking about the sound in the movie, which is still to this day copied by countless people when you have something like, they're showing a trailer or something scary is going to happen, and you have that, or so it's just you take a lot of this stuff is taken for granted in this movie too. So Jake says modern films are more concerned with getting us to the essential information as quickly as possible rather than immersing us. Chainsaw works because it immerses you. It practically has a texture. That's very true. I kind of agree with this too. If only Rob Zombie kept his streak with his first two films, he could have been a modern day Hooper instead of what he is today, which is a giant piece of trash. When Franklin rolls down that hill, that's what I mean, man. There's nothing about it that's like PC or anything that could be done now. Oh, fuck, Wolves. Look here. If I want to promote my channel and get more viewers, the price is lower than any competitor at Ungurna 23. Whoa. God damn it. I don't know why we have to actually like be kind of semi-popular to have to deal with these fucking bots and shit. Anyway, I actually am not a big fan of the screaming and laughing with the grandpa for 20 minutes either, but still a great movie. To me, that's like that's the part of the movie where he was just trying, I think, to like freak out as many people as possible. Just essentially torture an audience, which works. That scene goes on like way too long. It's way too uncomfortable. It's like as close to probably being like actually tortured as you've ever seen in like a movie, because you as the audience member are being tortured along with her by just how long it goes on, and just the noise and it's everything about it's uncomfortable. Franklin just wanted to have a fun trip and he got half-assed eulogy from John Larroquette instead. It's very true. I never will understand about John Larroquette, like not condoning that he did the voiceover. It ain't like he fucking started it or anything. Like he just did the voiceover. Yeah, I think he's the MVP of both movies, Jake, to be honest. Jim Seidow is the MVP of the movie. He's the most believable. You could tell Seidow did theater. Yeah, there's something about his character. Like I've said before, like there's scenes in this movie that have always stuck with me. But one of the little known scenes is the scene where he's got her in the truck and she's covered up with the with like the tater sack or whatever, and he keeps like he's like going in like split personalities. Like he's like, yeah, it's all gonna be all right, honey. Just wait in there. And then he starts like poking her with the fucking stick, like a broom handle and stuff. And he starts laughing, and he's like, it's just calm down. That scene's always stuck with me because of how just like weird and real that seems. Yeah, Mick Garris does play Sally in that movie. I think that's a well-known fact. Texas Chainsaw and Eaten Alive are very uncomfortable. Yeah, Eaten Alive is one I didn't put on this list. I wanted to, but like, I watched it again like not too long ago, and it's just not. It tries way too hard to be Texas Chainsaw. It's got a completely different kind of lighting scheme to it, which is probably my favorite part about the movie. It's like lit in a weird kind of like red background, and it clearly is on a soundstage, like the entire thing, which the backdrop and that alone kind of make it really odd. Some of the performances in it are great. It's just It's like TCM Light or something. I just couldn't put it on the list. Wild Wrangler, you went and saw Violent Night. Huh? What did you think? Even the down and dirty looks fake because it's fake digital filters. Yeah, like when they try to do that shit now, it looks ridiculous. Lionsgate has made an entire fucking career on trying to like make things look like Texas Chainsaw. Am I looking forward to the upcoming game? Kind of, but I'll be honest with you, I got bored of that fucking Friday the 13th game like really quick. Even before they had the lawsuit or whatever happened with that, the Friday the 13th game, there just wasn't a whole lot there. So I'm praying that the Texas Chainsaw game looks a lot like the Friday the 13th game, and I'm hoping they do something else with it that's maybe a little bit more interesting. Joe Jack, yeah, there's a really well known story that Tobe Hooper thought the film was a comedy, or he made it as a comedy, and like nobody, of course, thought the film was a comedy, um, or didn't think it was funny or anything like that. I think there's clearly like some scenes in this film where he's trying to be funny. Like most of the stuff with the cook and the hitchhiker is trying to be funny. Like you can just fucking tell. So I mean, I can kind of see where he's coming from. I think he just severely maybe misgauged people's sense of humor. Platinum Dunes. I'd almost forgotten about them. Popularized the shitty Instagram filter look that so many movies have now. Yes, they did. Jesus Christ. I miss Tobe Hooper. He seemed like a cool dude and made some of the most unique, horrifying, gritty, and stylish horror films ever made. He did that for sure. Maybe the TCM game will have a playable Franklin giving raspberries to Leatherface. God, I hope so. I wish it had Franklin in it. I'm sure it won't. Can't do shit like that now. But that's it, though. Before I start like coughing my ass off, does anybody like have any honorable mentions on here? Like I didn't talk about Invaders from Mars other than just briefly there. And I tell you, the big one that's not on this list is Poltergeist. I don't fucking like Poltergeist. I'll just tell you. Like I'm not a fan of it. Um, I just I don't know. Number one, it even though like I'm fairly certain that he directed it, I don't think like it's a good representation of like Tobe Hooper's work. Like if you were to watch that and then like watch Eaten Alive or Funhouse or Texas Chainsaw, like you would have no clue that that was the same guy that did it. So yeah, I'm not a fan of Poltergeist. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you about something. I have never understood why so many people fucking hate the Mangler. Like, it's not that bad of a movie. I mean, I know it's about a killer laundry machine or whatever, but I mean, yeah, the idea is fucking stupid. We get it, but it's it's actually really well played off in the film, and I don't mind Robert Englund's role in it at all. I don't know what the hell people really like got against it. I think it's just the concept. I recommend that you watch a movie called Borderland from 2007 if you like Texas Chainsaw. Okay, I don't think I've seen that. A lot of people are giving some love to the Mangler. Yep. Joe Jack, I think it's actually a good film. I don't think that it's something that needs to be shit on as much as it is. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with that. Hooper probably made. I feel like that. Yeah, there's some definite definite shit in the Mangler that's well, pretty much all of Robert Englund's characters. It look like it's intentionally funny. Let's see here. Mortuary. I can get behind a lot of shit. I really can. But I cannot get behind Mortuary. The visual effects in that film are, it looks like something that like you remember that company, the Asylum, that like did remakes of like all, or not remakes, but like they would like something would come out and it would be really popular and they make like a parody film of it almost. That's the way the Mortuary looks. Toolbox Murders. I hated that movie. Not the original, but Tobe Hooper's version I hated. From the very first fucking scene with Sherry Moon Zombie to all the way to the end of it. I hated every minute of it. Everybody keeps bringing this one up. I'm Dangerous Tonight. I don't own it. It just came out, I think. Right? Like it was just released by Kino or fucking somebody. Like recently. And I have not seen it. Yeah, that's pretty common. At that time, people would just leave you alone with horror films. Nowadays, they just leave you alone with fucking TikTok, which I think is infinitely worse. Jake says, I'm Dangerous Tonight. It's one of his favorites. It'll be nice to see it with a proper transfer going forward. Who put it out, Jake? I can't remember because I'll end up getting it. Dance of the Dead and The Damn Thing. I actually really like Dance of the Dead. Now, granted, I don't remember a whole hell of a lot about it now because I haven't seen it since that Masters of Horror shit came out, probably. But I remember that actually was one of the more memorable ones that I liked. Kino released it. Okay. Oh, fuck. Kino's having a sale. I'm going to be broke as shit. Oh. So I just sprung for the Martin thing, which was like $52. Before that, it was, what was it before that? Something else insanely like expensive. But I'm going to have to buy that. I'll probably buy that and a couple other things from the Kino sale. If it's on sale. Tobe Hooper was another one that, for one reason or another, got replaced on a lot of different movies. Like Romero, he was supposed to like direct all these different fucking movies, and never did. Yes, Jackson Jack. There, when Kino has a sale, it's an actual fucking sale. It's like $7-8 is usually what their sale prices are. This is a good question that we've never really talked about on the show. In general, though, who had the best Masters of Horror episodes? Now, Stuart Gordon did the Black. He did the Black Cat one, and that one with Jeffrey Combs. I think it was the Black Cat, where he played Edgar Allan Poe. That was amazing, dude. Like Jeffrey Combs' performance in that was outstanding. Yeah, I'm going to be getting. This is on my short list, Jackson Jack. Vestron just put out the double pack of The Dentist, and I'm going to be getting that, and I'm going to be getting the Silent Night, Deadly Night pack that they put out too. Yeah, so Gordon did Black Cat and Dreams in the Witch House. Yeah, love both of them. I like Cigarette Burns, Carpenter's episode. To me, the most memorable one is still Takashi Miike's. You know, in terms of like just shock factor. Argento's was good. I want to get Dressed to Kill too. Yeah, 14.99 a piece, and they've got Dressed to Kill and The Usual Suspect. Jesus, that's insane, man. And those things look really good too. So while we're on here though, and it's probably like after midnight. Yeah, it's way after midnight. Um, what is everybody buying right now? Like, what are some of the ones that you guys have bought? Because, like I said, I know that Martin was the last one that I ordered. Uh, I'm trying to remember what the hell I ordered before that. That's not in yet. I got the Amityville Curse in. What did I get from the Vinegar Syndrome? Shit. God damn it. I bought all kinds of shit off that. It's sad. I can't even remember. People that probably watch the shit probably remember more than I do. Jay the Stingray says he bought the Dentist set, but trying to avoid buying anything. Yeah, that was pretty cheap too. I think it was like somebody said it was $12 or $13, and I'd say that the Silent Night, Deadly Night set is going to be really cheap too. Oh, Rambo! I've been wanting to fucking watch this thing just because, like, didn't they release like two on something like Watchers two, but they didn't have the first one, which I thought was ridiculous. So I've been wanting to watch like Watchers again. Oh fuck yeah! I gotta forget this. Yeah, so I bought the big fucking bundle from Severin. That was the main thing I bought, like during the whole Black Friday stuff. Like I didn't really buy a lot of shit from Vinegar Syndrome. I just bought the Maestro bundle. They said Four Flies was the one I was most looking forward to. So, except for Martin, because that was the last Argento film that I didn't have a really good like release of, and that bundle includes the 5 days Argento's war film that I have never seen. Reservoir Dogs, Highlander in 4K. I would love to have both those in 4K actually. Screen Factory did Watchers too. Okay. Antichrist Criterion Blu-ray. That would be awesome. I'm assuming you're talking about the Lars von Trier. Yeah, Matt. God damn it. If you can fucking buy the Martin, well, you can definitely buy Four Flies. I know you're a huge Argento mark. The Bottle Rocket Criterion. That's a movie I've never seen. I would like to see it though. So there's a lot of stuff come out in the last couple of months though. Um, did anybody get Bat Pussy? That one's up on Vinegar Syndrome right now. If you want to pre-order Bat Pussy, um, Stuntman, you missed the entire fucking show basically. Like, just go back and watch it at your leisure. probably Jack Frost. I mean, I don't know for certain, but more than likely. Fraternity vacation. I want to get Ski Patrol or Ski School or whichever one that is that just came out from MVD. Holy shit, that's another sale. I bought a bunch of stuff from that. So MVD had a sale on was it around Black Friday? It must have been. And it was insanely like low. It was like a Kino sale. Like everything was between $7 and like $10. And I bought a ton of stuff off that too. Um, I can't even tell you like off the top of my head what I bought now. But it was a lot of Bolo Young shit and some Van Damme stuff and a couple of horror films. I know that. Yeah, Mark. Like that sale was like probably the best overall sale of any of those. Like I think I bought 7 or 8 things and it was like $56. Look, buddy, the end of that film alone is worth the price of admission. That's all I'm saying. So just buy it. Just be done with it. Complete the collection. Rambo, hold on. I can tell you exactly what I bought in about 2 seconds. Let's see. But my memory's not worth a shit anymore, so. Okay, so I got DOA, Jack Frost 2, Revenge of the Mutant Killer Snowman, Lionheart, the Van Damme movie, which I know that you know that movie. I know that you're a huge fan of that movie. My Friend Dahmer, which was $4 on Blu-ray. My Samurai, which was $8. The Return of Swamp Thing, which was also like $9. And well, that was it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I got 7 films. Shit. Now, Return of the Swamp Thing is one of those guys that Return of the Swamp Thing is one of those movies that I just completely like marked out for when I was a kid, and you go back and watch it now, and it's like, holy shit. But still, like I've got it's just the nostalgia factor of it all. I appreciate that third world fiction internet. We're your 65th favorite YouTubers. That's nice. Yes, on the large tree. Okay, yeah. Christmas Time by Run DMC on 4K. Is that? I didn't know that was an option. That movie fucking sucks so bad. How much was it? If it was over like $8, I probably wouldn't buy it. Unless it had like the special edition, like light up shit, then I would buy it. I'm just really glad that I got in on the Severin sale and got me some fucking pins and shit. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't give a fuck about the pins in that set. I don't even know why they include pins in film sets, but they just keep doing it. Like, Screen Factory started that horse shit. Now they just, all these companies do it for some reason. I wanted those two Argento films in that bundle, and the book, which I don't have, which is the autobiography. So I accomplished my mission there. Yeah, I mean, it would have been. I agree with you there. Where is that at? It would have been a better troll job to do 69, I think. What is Parasite 3D? Parasite 3D, was that Charles Band that did that? I think it was. It's an awful film from either Charles Band or Corman or one of those people. Matt, yes, I'm going to unfortunately have to get Black Christmas in 4K. It's just a movie that I think would probably benefit from 4K. Who uses fucking pins? I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess if you have a hat like this, you could just take all the pins, like put them all over the hat, like it was the '80s again. But no, Rambo, nobody wears those fucking pins. I don't know what the fascination is with like that trying to be a sales gimmick for anything, really. Oh man, listen. I mean, you may think that that's like funny or whatever now, and it is. But what's going to be funnier is the email that I send to Severin, hearing about the next week about my dick demon. Return of the Living Dead 4K and House 1 and 2 from Arrow. Those ones that you recently bought. I would love to get that Return of the Living Dead 4K. I haven't got that yet. Yeah, okay. So it was Charles Band that put it out. Uh, I don't want to buy anything from Full Moon or Charles Band, man. That guy's like the biggest fucking con man ever. He makes Lloyd Kaufman look like fucking Gandhi. If only Severin had included a Dario Argento holding a severed dick statue, especially if it's leaning, exactly. I need you to read the Dick Demon instruction manual. It's past its expiration date. You're supposed to toss it. There, look, I have so many questions, legitimate questions that I want to ask Severin. Like, so the email is going to go something like this, and I'm going to post screenshots of it after I send it. But basically, I'm just going to tell them that my Dick Demon is now like sagging to the left, and that I would greatly appreciate them replacing my Dick Demon with a straight and erect Dick Demon rather than one that is crooked. But aside from that, I want to know what is on this fucking thing that is so fragile that it can completely come apart within what, 6 months or something. So we'll see. I would love to have a Howling box set. Oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. Onion hat for sale. God damn these people. Huh. Okay, what is my least favorite Tobe Hooper film? Mortuary. I haven't seen the Jinn yet, but off the top of my head, it's going to be Mortuary. Will Severin release a statement on erecting the Dick Demons? What I hope they do more than anything, so I'll have like an email of it, is I hope they try to like pass it off like Scream Factory did, like it's outgassing or something. But like it's like there can be like it's statue flapping. It's like, what happens. Just the chemicals and shit, man, come off of the The base, that happens all the time, and then your fucking statue's crooked. Everybody knows that. I don't think so, Mayor. I don't think they have dick demons anymore. Probably because they're fucking trash. Do I handle my dick demon a lot? I mean, no. That's the weird part about it. You would think that it would have been for misuse, but my dick demon just sits there. It doesn't really have any real use, so it just kind of was there. Flat surface, temperature controlled room, never gets too hot or too cold. Crooked dick demon. Yes, third world, whatever. I am in the Dick Demon division of the Marines. If Charles Band would release a TCM and Wizard video box set, I would buy it. Maybe. Dick Demon would be a cool band name. I was so excited. You're right. We can look back at that now, at the limp, flaccid Dick Demon that it's become, and just everyone have a moment of silence for my Dick Demon. All right, so we're 2 hours in. I don't even think we can go over 2 hours on this shit for some reason. So I appreciate everybody. There's been a lot of people in here. A great chat as usual. So I want to hop up a couple of things if we could. So we actually have a couple things coming up. And first of all, CK wanted me to say, make sure you go on to our Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok pages, which are all Into the Dead Pit, because we need all the help that we can get, especially on Instagram. And aside from that, we're going to be on. I probably shouldn't say this because we haven't confirmed it yet or anything. But there's a possibility that on Monday we'll be on another show, and if and when we get a confirmation of that here soon, then I will make sure that I post it or he posts it or something like that too. So we're actually going to be on somebody's show, and we've got fan commentaries coming up. Ernest Goes to Jail's coming up. I know that. We don't have a release date for that, but it's going to be amazing. And I'm sure we'll do some Christmas stuff. We always do end of the year stuff too, so be on the lookout for that. We're going to be doing fucking, a lot of different stuff around Christmas time, like year in review shows, the pities, things like that. Yeah, Third World. Do me a favor and go fuck your mother, and I will do the same. You can go fuck right off. And so there'll be the pities, which I've been wanting to bring that back forever. Because I think that was like one of our best shows. And this year, there's been a ton of great horror stuff. On film, on like TV, a lot of stuff that we can like actually mention. So I'm kind of looking forward to that too. Oh yeah, the Discord. Yeah, I should probably play the Discord too. We have a Discord chat that is pretty strong, and it's kind of become like the new message board era from Dead Pit, except with a lot less people pretending to be females, and less kind of like drama from British people, and more actual like film talk. So, I'm kind of glad about that. The Spooky Spooktaculars, that's a good idea. We could actually bring that back as well. But anyway, keep a lookout at Into the Pit and Dead Pit, Into the Dead Pit, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Tumblr, Vine, oregano, rosemary, all kinds of different stuff. I'm Uncle Bill, and this has been the Tobe Hooper Show, and I pray that you all come back because we miss you, and we love you over here at the pit. So I will say a fond farewell and a good night.
Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
not.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
Hey everyone, it's Oak Early Jaws. Since spooky season is officially over, it's time to bring on the turkey, motherfucker. Time to bring on November. And here in the month of November, we got some great shirts for you. We got Faces of Death, Part 2. We got Creepy Stories to Tell in Kentucky. The Colonel Would Approve. We also got DeadPit.com. We got Dead Pit Radio with the little fucking Dead Pit dude on there. We got It Never Ends, a Halloween spook parody of the new movie. We got It at Night. We got the Rad Pack, Uncle Rad himself. It just gets better and better. So go on and get you some shirts over at Team Public. It just gets better and better, boss.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPitOnPatreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.